let's start with the fact na it was the SONA kung saan first time talaga naging malinaw kung ano ba yung vision or yung plano, yung master plan kumbaga ng Marcos administration at ni President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. For the country. Why do I say that? Because medyo sirang plaka na tayo talking about this in the campaign. Neither Marcos nor Sara Duterte really expounded on what their platform for the Philippines, for their candidacies. No, in fact, the platforms were only released via video weeks before the election day. So we didn't really like, we had vague ideas of where they stood on things and their promises about certain issues and mga gut issues normally, but it was really a campaign run on the promise of unity, the potential of unity, whatever that means. It means a lot of things to different people. So it was really during the SONA na nagets natin somehow na okay, ito yung gusto niya, ito yung direction of his presidency. And siguro he stuck to 3 points na Mara, our former colleague in Rappler, pointed it out also when we did a recap before, ahead of the SONA, no, na parang we talked about this, na he would be highlighting, we expected him to highlight 3 things. And this is based on his first 3 na cabinet meetings as president. So first thing would be the return to face-to-face classes. So if you notice, after the SONA also, lahat ng galawan or lahat ng discussions ng other departments have to do also with the return to face-to-face classes. Of course, that's spearheaded by Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte. Second, food security. Another reason why we are sure that would be a highlight or that would be something he'd point out was the fact that he is the agriculture chief temporarily. Kasi nga, temporarily for now, hindi tayo sure parang, but the way the palace frames it, he is the temporary chief of the agriculture department because he really wants to focus on food security and bringing food prices down for Filipinos. And finally, economic priorities. Medyo hinipe nila to sa start na parang hindi muna ilalatag yung buong plano ng Marcos administration kasi it would be expounded on during the SONA. But in effect, yung in-explain ng economic managers, economic team beforehand, yun na rin pala yung figures and numbers that. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers who watched the first few minutes of the SONA probably zoned out sa dami ng numbers na the president was rattling off at the very beginning of his State of the Nation address now. So yeah, and I think later on, I mean, it was clear during the SONA, but it became more pronounced later on through statements from the economic team or even his the press secretary, Trixie Cruz Angeles. The tax reform is a huge priority of this administration. Yun din yung rationale kung bakit daw may na-veto na 5 bill kasi hindi daw yun swak or hindi siya aligned with yung tax reform thrust. And I have to point out the irony of this because to this day, hindi resolved yung tax issues ni President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Citizen Marcos, before he won the elections when these issues were first brought up, no? So during the SONA nalatag yung medium-term fiscal framework. Judas, huwag mo kayo tanong in detail about this. Kasi I think si Ralph yung mas better equipped to talk about the medium-term fiscal framework. But as a House report, I can tell you that in-adopt na to ng House. This was discussed and deliberated upon during session, but there's a move to adopt that framework na. But I think what there was nothing really surprising about what he mentioned. But it also was not surprising to realize the things that he did not mention. Not surprising, but I think a little dismaying pa rin for a lot of sectors. So, syempre sobrang familiar si Judas dito. Human rights was not mentioned at all. It wasn't given time of day during the SONA. Peace talks weren't mentioned at all. Walang banggit ng BARM, walang banggit ng kung ano ba yung direction natin sa talks with communist forces naman. Wala ring discussion doon. Walang discussion on the drug war. Of course, it's the bloodiest and most controversial perhaps of the things that he inherits from former President Rodrigo Duterte. Wala ding discussion during the SONA of what's our stand on the ICC. Of course, recently lang din na nalaman natin na okay, parang he's status quo pala, he's sticking to the withdrawal from the ICC. So Yeah, more or less yun. I don't think there was anything surprising na talagang, what the hell was that? It was very normie. Mali ata yung word. It was very boring, and I hope people don't understand it as a negative thing per se. But basically it was a SONA that you expected
Mm.
a, an average president to deliver, I suppose.